Hello and welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, we're going to be doing something kind of different and we're going to be bowling for my TBR. So if you guys saw my video from a couple weeks ago, you'll know that I am participating in HRCYED 2.0. If you guys don't know what that is, I will link the intro video in the description down below, and that explains what this challenge is. But one of the prompts is to play a TBR game. Now, I've never played a TBR game before, so I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. And then I saw that one of my favorite creators on here, Lexi at NewlyNovas, did a video where she went bowling for her summer TBR, and I thought that would be such a fun idea. So I decided I'm gonna steal that idea from Lexi, and that's gonna be my TBR game for this challenge. So I have made a spreadsheet, and each frame is gonna have its own theme, and then depending on what my score is for each frame, that will then dictate what book I'm gonna read. Now, am I particularly good at bowling? No. But I convinced my mom to go with me, and we're gonna have fun, so let's jump into it. Alrighty, so I have my laptop here, and this is the spreadsheet that I made for this video. The category for frame 1 is continuing series. Essentially, these are all just series that I'm somewhere in the middle of, and I just haven't read whatever the next book is. So I thought this would be a fun opportunity to get a little caught up. And for frame 1, I scored a 7, which lands us on Can't Get Enough by Kennedy Ryan. I'm really excited to read this one. This is the third book in the Skyland series, and I've been enjoying the series so far. This one is about Hendrix, who we've seen a little bit in the first couple books, and I'm really interested to see what her story is. We kind of got some flashes that she's dealing with some kind of complicated family stuff with her parents, and then she also works in like the entertainment industry, so I'm really curious to see what her story is going to be about. And then I noticed in the tags it says that this is a billionaire romance, and I'm so excited because I love billionaire romances, so I'm super excited to read this one. The category for frame 2 is queer romances, and I scored a 6. And looking at number 6, I am so excited to read this one. This is Mistakes Were Made by Meryl Wilsner, and I've never read anything by her, but this paragraph in the description has me just like chomping at the bit to read this book, so I'll just read it to you guys. When Cassie Klein goes to an off-campus bar to escape her school's family weekend, she isn't looking for a hookup, it just happens. Buying a drink for a stranger turns into what should be an uncomplicated, amazing one-night stand. But then the next morning rolls around and her friend drags her along to meet her mom, the hot older woman Cassie slept with. This sounds so messy, and I am so excited for it. For frame 3, the category is sports romances, and it's funny because I had been giving my mom a hard time because the previous frame, she rolled a double gutter ball, and then instant karma came for me. So my double gutter ball is The Deal by Elle Kennedy. I've never read anything by Elle Kennedy before, but I have this book on my Kindle. I had like soft DNF'd it at one point. I downloaded it a couple years on my Kindle, and I got a couple pages into it and I just wasn't feeling it at that time. So I've been meaning to read it because I've seen so many people talk about this series and say how much they love it, and I love a hockey romance. For some reason, I just couldn't get into it that one time, so I'm interested to pick it up again and see if I can get into it. The category for frame 4 is mysteries and thrillers. And for that one, I scored another 6, which is Wild Dark Shore. Now, I've seen a couple people talk about this book online, but I haven't heard a lot about it, other than people generally are enjoying it. So I'll read part of the description here. A family on a remote island, a mysterious woman washes ashore, a rising storm on the horizon. Dominic Salt and his 3 children are caretakers of Shearwater, a tiny island not far from Antarctica, home to the world's largest seed bank. Shearwater was once full of researchers, but with sea levels rising, the salts are now its final inhabitants. Until, during the worst storm the island has ever seen, a woman mysteriously washes ashore. I'm really excited to read this one, but also a little spooked because I am terrified of the ocean. So we'll see how this one goes. Alrighty, so for frame 5, the category was fake dating romances. And for frame 5, I scored a 9, which lands us on Happily Never After by Lynn Painter. I've never read anything by Lynn Painter before, but this book sounded so interesting solely by the first 3 lines here. And that is their name, the objectors, their job, to break off weddings as hired, their dilemma, they might just be in love with each other. I'm so excited to read this one. Moving on to frame 6, the category was HRCYED Potentials. So these are all just books that could potentially fill in for other prompts for the challenge. So for frame 6, I got a spare, which is 10, and that one is The Answer Is No by Frederick Bachman. I've never read anything by Frederick Bachman, but I've heard so many good things. I'm really excited to read something by him. The first line of the description for this one says, in a hilariously short story from New York Times bestselling author Frederick Bachman, the absurdities of modern life causes one man's solitary world to spin suddenly and comically out of control. This one is super cute. It is a novella, 68 pages, and this one will also contribute towards my make a quote prompt, and the quote that I chose is do or do not, there is no try. So I'll be using the word no in the title for that quote. And the theme for frame 7 is enemies to lovers romances. And for that frame, I scored another 6, which is You Deserve Each Other. Looking at the description, it says, when your nemesis also happens to be your fiance, happily ever after becomes a lot more complicated in this wickedly funny lovers to enemies to lovers romantic comedy debut. I'm really excited to read this one. So it seems like this is also a kind of fake dating situation, which is another one of my favorite tropes. So I'm really excited to read this one. And it's always fun to read someone's debut novel. The theme for frame 8 is Crazy 8, which is basically just a miscellaneous list of different books that I've been wanting to read lately, but I just haven't had the opportunity to read them. And for frame 8, I scored another 10, which landed on Throttled by Lauren Asher. This one is a sports romance about a F1 player who has a bit of a crush on one of his teammates' sisters. I'm really excited to read this series. I've only read the Dreamland Billionaire series by Lauren Asher, and I really enjoyed those. Well, I should say, I really loved the second and the third one. I was not a fan of the first book in that series, but I loved the second and third one. So I'm really excited to read some more stuff by Lauren Asher. The theme for frame 9 is second chance romances, which I will say is probably one of my least favorite tropes. I'm kind of the opinion that if you broke up once, it was probably for a reason. But I will say there has been some second chance romances that I have enjoyed. And for frame 9, I got my one and only strike of this whole game. And that brings us to the X Vows. Now, I've never read anything by Jessica Joyce, but this one sounds really interesting. So it says we have estranged exes must stick close together to save their best friend's wedding after a string of disasters in this swoony and steamy second chance romance. So I am really excited to read this one. The description sounds really fun. I'm just curious how it's going to go because I don't usually like second chance romances, but who knows? Maybe this will change my mind. Alrighty, and for our final frame, the category was small town romances, and I scored a 9, which looking at our spreadsheet here is Alive in Wells. I've never read anything by this author, Bailey Hanna, but I've heard so many people say that they love this series, and I am a sucker for cowboy romances. So looking at a little bit of the description for this one, it says, a city girl fleeing an abusive marriage suddenly finds herself working on a cattle ranch with a sexy but grumpy rancher as her boss in this spicy cowboy romance from the author of Seeing Red and Change of Heart. So I'm really excited to read this one. I haven't read a lot of cowboy romances, but the ones that I have read I've really enjoyed, and I've heard so many good things about this series. Alrighty, and that is it for today's video. I had so much fun doing this. I'm really excited to read all these books. Sometime in the next couple months-ish, I will do another video where I talk about all the books that I read for this challenge. Once again, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe. I post videos every single Wednesday, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.